Hi, my name is Abel, and I'm a cloud developer advocate specializing in DevOps. Today, we're going to look at creating and customizing your CI/CD pipelines using VSTS into Azure. Now, everybody knows VSTS is great for .NET in the Microsoft stack, but that's not all. VSTS is for any language, targeting any platform, and VSTS is the ultimate DevOps solution into Azure. We're going to highlight today the new Azure DevOps project, where with just a couple of clicks, I'm able to go from nothing at all into a full DevOps project. And by that, I mean you have a sample code project, a build and release pipeline, infrastructure up in Azure, and when it's all done, that sample app is even automatically deployed into that infrastructure. Let's go check it out. Now, to create a DevOps project in Azure, we first start in the Azure portal, and we'll go ahead and click Create a Resource. Let's go ahead and search for a DevOps project. And from here, we're going to choose the Azure DevOps project. Next, we're going to go ahead and create this. And now Azure is going to ask me, what language do I want to use? I can use .NET, Java, I can create a static website, Node.js, PHP, Python, or if I have my own code, I can even choose that and just point it to my Git repo. Now for this demo, we're just going to choose .NET. Next, it's going to ask me what framework. Are we going to use ASP.NET or .NET Core? Now for this demo, we'll just use ASP.NET. And for the service, we're going to use Web App on Windows. If we chose one of the other languages, we could actually even have a container running on Linux. And finally, it's going to ask us about Visual Studio Team Services. If we don't have an account, we can create a brand new one directly from this page here. But since I already have one, I'm just going to choose Use Existing, and I'm going to use my demo account. Now we need to give it a name, so we'll call this my DevOps Proj 10. And we need to choose a subscription, so I'm going to choose my demo subscription. And I'll click Done. And bam, that's it, I'm done. I can now just kick back, relax, and just let Azure build out my full DevOps projects. It's actually going to do 5 things for me now. First, it's going to create my team project in VSTS. Then, it will create and add sample code into my source control. Next, it will create a continuous integration build. And then, a continuous deployment release pipeline. And finally, it's going to kick off the build and release pipeline, and it will deploy the sample app into the infrastructure provisioned in Azure. Now, when I say continuous integration, that is the process where every developer check-in kicks off my build. The build will download the latest code from source control, it's going to compile everything, it's going to run all my unit tests, and then it's going to package everything for deployment. And if my build was successful, it will trigger release management, where release management will then download my build bits, it will deploy my app into Azure. And it does all of this with infrastructure that already exists in the cloud. There's no machines for you to build, there's no installation and configurations to do. Everything just works. Okay, looks like the pipeline has finished. We have code, we have build, we have a release pipeline, and we have the infrastructure up in Azure. And this button over here, Project Homepage, this button here will take us directly to the VSTS project. Now here's the code where we can see the sample project. If we wanted to swap out the sample code with your own code base, you can just go and do it. This is just a Git repo after all. And right over here is our build. And in this build, we can see that we've already kicked off a build and it's actually completed. Now this build is using our hosted build servers. Once again, nothing for you to install, nothing for you to configure. We take care of everything for you. But just because we created the build and the release pipeline, you still have complete control over this pipeline. By clicking on this edit, I can now jump in and customize it and do whatever I want to this particular build. Now to customize this build, all you need to do is add and remove tasks. Now, out of the box, there comes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tasks that you can use. If there happens to be something that you want to do in your build that doesn't exist out of the box, just jump into the marketplace, where our partners have created over 500 build and release tasks. So if you see something that you want to use, just download it and start using it. Now, if you want to do something that doesn't exist out of the box and doesn't exist in our marketplace, you can create your own custom tasks. Custom tasks in VSTS is nothing more than PowerShell or Node.js. So what that means is anything you can do from the command line, you can get VSTS to do. And what that really translates into is in the build and release in VSTS, you can get it to do whatever you want. Okay, let's jump back and see what our build is actually doing. Our build has completed, and now it's being released through the release pipeline. So let's jump into the release pipeline and see what that looks like. So what we end up doing is we actually create a release pipeline for you. So let's jump in, and you can see exactly what we did. Now, just like the build, we create everything for you, so it just works. However, you still have complete control over this pipeline, so you can do whatever you want to it. For instance, this pipeline right now only deploys to one environment, but we can easily create multiple environments, like a dev, canary, blue-green, all the way out into production, by cloning your environment. So you can do something like this. First, let's go ahead and change this from production, and we'll call this our dev environment. We'll go ahead and clone it into a canary environment. Then we'll clone this into our blue-green environment. And we'll clone it one more time into our production. Now, for each environment, you can assign approval gates going into the environment and also going out of the environment. Approvers can be manual approvers where people have to physically approve a gate, or they can be our new Greenlight automated approval gates as well. And if you wanted to customize what happens inside the build, you just jump into the environment and start customizing. Once again, just like the build, customizing, all that means is adding and removing the tasks that you need to do. Now, if you needed to add specific environmental variables during the release, you just go into your Variables tab, and you can start adding new environmental variables. You can even add secrets. So if I put in my database password, you just click on the lock screen, and bam, it's going to encrypt it, and now it's safe. So you have full control over your pipeline. And as you can see, it's super easy to customize and configure it. So now let's go ahead, jump back into our DevOps project, and look and see what actually got deployed. So we'll go ahead and click on the application, and now it's going to load up our application. And here you can see the sample app has been deployed all the way out into Azure. So there you go. We are the only cloud vendor that makes it so incredibly easy to go from nothing to a full DevOps pipeline, ready for you to just jump in and start editing code. Thank you.